The Daily Purge. How are you today? I hope you're doing fantastic. A lot of people live in fear, right? They live in fear of losing out, of missing out, losing a loved one, leaving, getting left in a relationship, or losing a job, or there's so many things that we live in fear of. Or you're apprehensive, or you're worrying about something that may or may not happen because you're following the thoughts about the thing, the thoughts about the thoughts of the things that are happening. We talked about that before. And I was talking to a friend today. It was what a great conversation. And while I'm here in Berlin, I'm meeting with a lot of people, but this was actually on a telephone, so which is funny enough. But and we were talking about that fear of losing out, fear of missing out, fear of something not coming to fruition that you really, really want, and or the loss of. In this case, we're talking about the loss of a loss in a relationship, whether it's a business relationship or a personal relationship, and how you go about dealing with that kind of a situation. Hey, Ali, how you doing, brother? And it's interesting because, there's different ways. I always say confront it, embrace it, work through it, and see how it affects you and how it would affect you. And we were talking and we came up with this solution that I think is pretty amazing. That's why I wanted to share it with you while I share this around. And it was basically, well, let's say, for instance, you're looking at possibly losing your job, right? And you're like, well, why would I lose my job? I hope I don't lose my job. My boss is mad at me. Is he mad at me? Isn't he mad at me? What's going on? Why does he look at me weird? All these kind of things. And what you're doing is you're actually creating, you're thinking about things that may or may not happen. First of all, they're just thoughts. So they haven't happened yet. The thing is that when you think about something like that, often you're pretty much manifesting what's happening, right? So you're going to manifest what's happening. So that's one way. Let's say, for instance, you might have an issue with your relationship. It may or may not be good. It may go this way or it may go that way, and you're worried about what's going to happen. And your fear of that separation, of losing the job or losing the person, has you sort of worried, low energy, worried about that. Hey, Johnny, how you doing, brother? And we came up with this sort of way to work through it, which I thought was interesting. Is like, okay, let's say, for instance, you lose your job, right, or your husband leaves you, or your wife leaves you, or whatever it is. Crushing, no doubt, crushing, and you will probably be hurt. But if you look past that, what happens? Well, life goes on, right? I hate when people say that, but it's true. And then you want to look at what are the good things that could come out of it. So let's say, look at losing a job, right? If you lose your job, what things didn't you like about your job that you don't have to worry about anymore? What people in your job were getting on your nerves you don't have to worry about anymore? What are the things that you're going to be able to do now that you don't have to do those things that you were doing that you didn't like, right? And will life be that much different? Will life be that much harder? Will it be easier? Look at these things for real. And of course, as hard as this sounds, same thing goes with a relationship. Now, I know this isn't easy. Right now, it's just theory, but looking at, okay, if your husband leaves you or your wife leaves you, what are the things that you're not going to have to deal with anymore? What are the things that you can do now that you always wanted to do? Is there days and things that you put up with just because I'm married, or I'm with this person, or I'm dating this person? I have to put up with this because that's part of life. What are the things that you don't have to put up with anymore, right? Or what are the things that you can deal with, you don't have to deal with anymore? And what are the things that you can finally do that you weren't doing because you didn't want to do them because you were with this person? And realize that, yeah, life goes on again. I'll have some good things in my life too, like I'll have some really, really interesting times. I'll have a chance to do something new, or, in the case of a job, get a new job, or maybe take your dream job, right? But in the end, right, there's a million ways to look at this. And again, you see what we're doing there. We're confronting it and we're facing it, and we're ensuring that, yeah, let's look at this and see what the heck's going on. What's going to happen afterwards? What will actually happen afterwards? And I forget who it was that said that the way to work through fear is to work out what would happen if actually what you fear actually happens. What's going to come out of it good? What would come out of that good, right? And I feel like that's a great way to look at things. Now, remember, at least in my experience and a lot of experience, the mind doesn't know what's real and what the difference is between what you're thinking and what's real. So if you keep thinking about something that you don't want to happen, you're actually making it happen through thinking about it all the time. And if you look at the collective conscious, right, the collective consciousness that we're looking at right now, No one wants this COVID mess. No one wants riots in the streets. No one wants lockdowns, but we talk about it all the time. We talk about it all the time. We see it on TV all the time. Every single TV station, every person you meet is talking about it. You can't hear anything else. All you hear about is vaccines and COVID and all this kind of stuff. So even though we fear it, most people fear it, and even though we don't want it, it's here and it's getting stronger and stronger in some places. Why is that? Because we keep thinking about it and we have fear of it and we keep pushing it to the forefront. And so the more we push it to the forefront, the more it becomes reality. This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Now, I know you can't compare COVID with losing your job and maybe your ability to support your life, or losing someone you love, right? Or someone you love leaving you. I know you can't compare that. But the structure itself of how we're manifesting COVID, or we're manifesting the vaccine issues, or we're manifesting all of these problems in our society right now by constantly talking about it and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, is an example of how we are in a collective consciousness manifesting. For instance, the 2-minute mile, right? Until the 50s, I think it was, or the 40s, no one had ever run in the history of man has ever run a 2-minute mile. And suddenly this person, I forget who it was, ran the 2-minute mile. And then within a few years after that, like hundreds of people cracked the 2-minute mile. It's like, well, how was that possible? Well, collective consciousness picks up on whatever it is and upgrades everyone who's tapped into that consciousness. Here's another one that you might not agree with. And this is very interesting. Let's talk about oil. Let's talk about raw goods, minerals, and things like that, gold. I think it's arrogant to think that humans can control the planet. The universe, the planet, nature always balances itself out. Go to Chernobyl, where the nuclear accident was. It's completely grown over with trees and bushes and all kinds of stuff. There's animals there. Hey Joe, how you doing, brother? There's animals there. There's rodents there, and so nature is balancing itself, rebalancing itself. So for us to think as little ants on this huge planet that we actually have an influence over trying to fix the planet is, I think, a little ridiculous. That doesn't mean you should go out and drive diesel trucks with black smoke coming out all the time. I don't mean that. But it's like this. If we take oil out of the earth, right, the earth is going to replenish it with oil. It's like a balance. This is what I've come up with. Okay, I'm not saying this is a law or whatever. This is just my opinion. So when we take oil out of the earth is going to naturally balance itself out with more oil. Hey, Enrique Acosta Gonzalez, what's up, my friend? How are you, man? Good to see you, brother. So if we take oil out of the earth will automatically produce more. If we take gold out of the earth will produce more. And if it's not the earth, it's the collective consciousness, right? We had oil, we used oil. People said we started running out of oil. They said, so what did they find? Natural gas, right? And then they found what? Hydrogen. And then they found ways to make combustion engines out of hydrogen. They even have combustion engine with water, believe it or not, which was patented and buried forever, just like the 25-year light bulb and a 25-year tire. Patented and buried forever, because you can't make money if you're a tire company and you have a tire that lasts for 25 years, right? These are all things that have to do with one thing, and that is, how do we think about what's happening? And where do we put our focus? So in a relationship, in your business, oil, COVID, where's your focus? Where's your focus? Is it on the things you don't want? Is it on the fear? Roger Bannister first broke. There you go. All right, there you go. There you go. And since in mile 45, it's been broken over 1,400 times. Exactly. 5-minute mile, Jericho. Yes, but the same thing is true of the weightlifting community of the Western World. Exactly. So these are all things that come together from one space, and that's your space, your human space, your human consciousness. The collective consciousness makes things happen. So if the collective consciousness can replenish gold, oil, or whatever it is, and that's including the earth, because the earth is one with us in an energy field, so it's all part of the collective consciousness. Then isn't that the same for a relationship in your job? That if you're thinking about it all the time and you're thinking, well, one, if we think about COVID all the time, it's happening. What if we thought about the good that would come out of it? What if we think about the good after that, instead of always saying, oh, they took 500 rights away and they gave us 20 back and we don't have to wear a mask. Oh my God, I'm so happy. Okay, well, what about the rest? Right? With collective consciousness, we have to balance that out. Same thing goes in a relationship, right? What are the good things that are going to happen if something happens? What are the good things going to happen if you lose your job? I mean, I know it's tough. Believe me, I've been there in job, in relationship, in just about everything. I've lost everything a couple times, right? Including, relationships and jobs and money and positions and, almost my life, right? So I get it. It's easy. And you're sitting there probably saying, Stephen, come on. If I have a job and I'm, a skilled person and I'm been doing this job for 30 years or 20 years or whatever, and I get fired, what am I going to do? Well, that's the question, right? What are you going to do? Are you going to wonder what you're going to do? Or are you going to start looking at what you can do? What can you do? Just like when they said we're running out of oil, what could they do? They looked for another way to propel cars, natural gas. Here in Europe, it's prevalent. They have natural gas cars everywhere. Right? And then what? Hydrogen. Let's try hydrogen cars. And then what? Electric cars, which I think is ridiculous because electric, you need to get the electricity from somewhere, which can come from, natural sources like the sun or the wind, but it also comes from petrol. Yes. Right. So diesel engines and things like that. It's a little bit, it's like all just like this, the circle of revenue, so to say, for those up there and out there. So, I know I went off a little chart on a chart today, but I wanted to show you that the way we think about one thing is the way we think about everything. And the way that we manifest one thing is the way we manifest everything. The way we overcome one thing is the way we overcome everything. And that is right here and right here, right? First part of it is discipline, to say, I have to take this into my conscious mind and analyze it, embrace it, see it, taste it, smell it, feel it, and then bring it down here and let myself feel how it feels, and then move from there to see, okay, what's the good in this? It takes a lot of discipline. But on the other side, you're like, geez, that's a lot of work every morning getting up thinking about this stuff. But think about this. If you live by HIT, if you create space with everyone you meet in every situation you're in, if you live by your life enterprise, investing in relational capital and focusing on that quality of life, you don't have all of these expectations, these thoughts about the things that you think that you're thinking about, the thought that might happen, right? All of that falls away. You have no expectations, no preconceived solutions. You don't focus on the outcome, you focus on the intention. So suddenly that whole realm of what's mom thinking? Or, oh my God, why are those people looking at me? What did I do? What happened? What about this thing? What's the boss going to say? How are we going to get this? How are we going to get that? You don't worry about it. You don't worry about the how when you're certain, and you gain certainty through identity and purpose, right? Find out who you are, grab your purpose, and that creates certainty in that what you do and who you are, right? That's what Humble Alpha is all about. So to complete circle, the Humble Alpha is truly a universal operating system for anyone out there. Hello, Olga, how are you? I was waiting for you. For anyone out there that adapts to who you are, and you make it yours. So, Lane and I, we always harp on that thing. It's not a how-to book, it's a what-to book. What can you do to unleash the true, authentic person inside of you, own your presence in life, and become that epic leader that you're always meant to be through the inside out? Through the inside out, not by jamming information into your head and hoping that it'll somehow come together and make you an amazing person. You have to take imperfect action in everything you do. I have to take imperfect action in everything I do. And again, I will say it over and over every single night. Making sure people check it out. This great day. Hey, Joe. I will say it again, and I'll say it 1,000 times. I do not live a perfect life. Far from it. But I do live a very conscious life. So I am very aware of what's going on in my life in every minute of the day. I know and I see and I feel how other people feel. I'm very in tune to the vibrations and the frequencies. Exactly. Applied knowledge is power. Applied knowledge is power. Joe, you got it. So when I'm in tune to these frequencies and I see shifts in people's energies and I see shifts in their facial expressions, even people that don't smile, you can smile in one picture and smile in the next picture, or smile or not smile. You see the energy difference in their face. You see a glow or no glow, right? Always being conscious of what's going on around you so you can take imperfect action to achieve your goals, to help those around you, the ones you love, and to ensure that they're stepping into their own greatness, creating, what do we call it? Radiant value. Radiant value. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's freaking tough. It's freaking tough when someone you love or a job that you love is not sure if they're going to keep you, right? It's tough. I know it very, very well. You can feel sorry for yourself. You can feel sorry about the situation. You have the right to. You can feel bad about what might happen. You might look at what you might lose. You can look at what the bad things and how you're going to feel and how long it's going to take to get over it. You can look at all that stuff. Do it, as a matter of fact. But then keep going. Okay, now it's over. You lost your job. What then? You're going to get up and you're going to look for another job. You're going to call friends, see if they have anything for you. And then you're going to find something that you actually like more than you did before. Or you're going to find another partner. Or you're going to find time for yourself. You can finally go on that trip that you wanted to go on. You can finally go into the monastery, right? Do something like that. So I believe truly that it's just what the moment called for. What's happening right now to everyone everywhere. It's just what the moment called for. If COVID's happening to awaken everybody to the fact that our collective consciousness causes what's right in front of us, then maybe we, as a human race, can get our shit together and use our collective consciousness for something positive, something good, something overwhelmingly amazing. That's what I want. Freaking A, that's what I want. Who wants to live like this with this COVID and fear and masks here? Masks. Do I have to wear a mask? Can I wear a mask? No, you can't. Or you can't. But if you don't care about other people. And if you care about other people, then you don't care about yourself. And all this virtual signaling and not virtual signaling and people blaming each other and one side against the other. You see how it happens. Two groups of people against each other. That's two collectives. Two collectives. They feed off each other, right? Well, why don't we just get our shit together and step up as a human race and take care of this stuff through our collective consciousness? Take care of your fear of losing your job through your consciousness and tap into the positive, tap into the creative, tap into the winning consciousness. Same with losing a partner. It's a very strange story to talk about right now. I love the story. What Crazy Johnny is broken the 15 less than a year. Exactly. So there's a million ways that Stephen earlier, someone sent a Gary video that's pretty relevant. Oh, okay, Joe, cool. You probably wonder what I'm talking about here, but it's just a conversation. When I'm in Berlin for a week and, picking up my new car and I'm meeting with a lot of old friends and a lot of people I haven't seen in a while and some business partners and things like that. And I'm having some really awesome conversations. I believe the book Really Transferring about pendulums around the collective consciousness. Hey, Sean, great tip. Thanks. I'm gonna check that out. And some really, really good conversations. And I got to tell you something. And I'm just going to go off chart here a little bit. So I'm sitting here with people I haven't seen in 3, 5, 10, some even 15 years. And I have like 3 or 4 appointments a day. So it's pretty cool in person, which is rare. It's changing me because I forgot what it was like. And it's funny how I sit here every day and I talk to you. I sit here every day. They listen, some of them. Lane and I talk every day. We articulate everything that we go through. We articulate every thought that we have with each other so that we can write it down and share it, right? We try and work things out together, Lane and I. And when we come up with something that's like, wow, or when we're having sessions with our clients for the Humble Alpha Paradigm Upgrade Program, advisory program, when we're articulating, when we're talking to them, we record them because sometimes through creating space, coming up with answers and solutions that both parties alone would never have come up with, we come up with some pretty cool ideas. And then we end up writing it down and then repurposing it into a model or into a basis like the operating system for Humble Alpha, right? HIT was done that same way. Creating spaces that way. I can tell you, we can tell you every single one of those models we use, where it comes from, what day it happened, who we were with, right? So what we're talking about here and what I'm talking about isn't theory. This is the way we live. So I'm sitting with these people and I'm talking and I'm doing my Humble Alpha, right? I'm doing the Humble Alpha, right? I'm working through this stuff and I'm explaining to them how that when we think about things that might be bad, we're thinking about the thoughts about the thoughts. We're thinking about the thoughts we're having about the thing and not actually about the thing. And they're just like, well, yeah, you know what? That's true. That's crazy. I never thought of it that way. And then we talk about radiating power rather than pushing out power, and how pushing out power is like shooting out flames, and radiating power is like a heater. You can't get burned by a heater because it's just a radiation of heat. and how you do that with leadership and how you do that with your teams and how do you empower your teams through radiating power, radiating value, right? Radiant value. And they're just sitting there and they go, man, Steve, I where did all this come from? Like, how did you learn all this stuff? And I'm sitting there and I'm sort of embarrassed because I'm like, and they're like, oh, the book is amazing. And I heard it's a college course. And I'm like, well, I didn't actually, Lane and I, we didn't really, hey, Hasna. Lane and I didn't really write the book. The book is our story. So we literally took a year and researched and like Lane asked me, hey, William, Lane asked me, he's like, dude, how did you get that job with Andrea Bocelli or Mick Jagger or Olivia Newton-John? How did you do that? And I said, I don't know. I just walked up to him and talked to him. He's like, well, you got to teach. How can you teach that? You got to be able to have steps. And I said, I don't really know. I just use my intuition and I don't have any fear. I know who I am. I know what I'm capable of. And then here we go. He said, well, how can we teach that? So we started, researching and when did it happen? What did you say? How did you feel? How did you prepare? Did you prepare? All these kind of things. And this is how we came up with all these, life enterprise and investing in relational capital and, owning your presence in life and stepping into your power, letting go of the expectations and the outcome and focusing on the intention, because that's all you can control. That's where we came up with all this stuff, by telling stories. So when they asked me in these meetings, like, where did you learn all this stuff? I'm like, well, actually, I didn't learn it. I just did it, right? And then I interpreted it with Lane together. And he, of course, his experiences as well. Like we had to find, I'm like, well, when you were in the Green Beret, you had this and this and this as a guideline. How did you then take that guideline and turn it into something real that actually turned into, success? And he had to go, well, yeah, I just did it. I'm like, well, you got to teach it, same thing. So speaking to these people, they had, and I don't know. Thanks, Joe. I don't know how to put this, but I'm touched. I'm really, really touched by the people I've met so far since I've been here, because everyone was uber curious. Everyone was very absorbed in what I was talking about. And we had fantastic conversations because they challenged me, of course. And you know what? I know it sounds weird, but when you're in your groove and you're doing the things you do and you're with the same people every day, and sometimes you don't realize what a few words can mean to somebody. And it just touches me to see all these people, all these friends of all these times, just being able to have such an impact in their lives, man. Thanks, Olga. Really having an impact in their lives, where they walk away and they're different. They're more powerful, more present, able to articulate their internals. And when they walk away, or we end the meeting, and they say to me, Stephen, man, I'm proud of you, or I never would have thought this would be you, or it was profound, or I greatly appreciate you. Suddenly you're like, wait a second, sort of, I'm receiving all these heartfelt, truly meant accolades that really touch me. And it just empowers me to say, you know what? We're on the right freaking track here. We are on the right freaking track here. What we're talking about, Lane and I, the Humble Alpha, you as a part of the Humble Alpha journey, it makes a difference. It really, really makes a difference. And I just want to thank you for being a part of it. I want to thank you for empowering us every single day. I want to thank you for your belief and your love. Man, it's such an amazing, amazing thing to do, to be appreciated. I know it sounds weird, but just people you knew for many years who you thought were just people like you, and you knew them and no big deal, let's meet and say hi. And you part from these meetings and it's just so freaking profound, man. So freaking, I mean, I got tears in my eyes thinking about it. It's so profound, so heavy, amazing. Constantly pouring into people. I make my bed every morning because of you. You're amazing, Olga. We are searching for something. We never know where the answer will come from. You have provided many answers for you and Lane's life. We all need to thank you, brother. Picking up other good habits too. Indeed, Olga, habits become routines. Routines become your lifestyle. Exactly. I love it. Well, I could go on. I really could. I could just spout here all day because I just feel so loved, I guess you could say. I really do. It's crazy. I fucking, Jesus. And I want to thank you for that. So you all have a fantastic evening. Hey, Rixa. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in as usual. And remember what we always say, right? I'm Johnny. I'm in Berlin, Germany. Johnny. Yes, indeed. I am imperfect. Look at that, Olga. I love it. I'm imperfect. You're awesome. I love it. Imperfect action. Amen to that. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a fantastic one. And exactly, Johnny B. Scott. It's all about quality of life. We'll see you tomorrow.